Yes, indeed, folks. You're tuned into Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, Total Biscuit. Now, before I go into the topic, I have an update on the Deadly Boss mod situation. I thought it was a Google ad. I thought it was simply innocent, but I was wrong, indeed. I had a follow-up from Knight of Osiris, who provided me with the following email. It says, yes, you are correct that there is a Google Tower ad on the right side of the page. It didn't show because as soon as I saw the gold ad, I upped my system security, triggering AppBlock to fire on their site. I whitelist sites I trust, like WCRadio.com, allowing ads. But there is also a banner ad, the same one as the screenshot you sent me, showing at 2:46 EST, which was about 20-30 minutes ago, for free WoW Gold. This image is not a Google ad. Checking the page source code and element properties, right-click properties on the ad, shows the image sourcing from the address, and I can't give that link, obviously, because that would be me linking to a gold-selling site, and that would be pretty stupid. It links directly to that site, and Google Ad Images sourced from http://star.googlesyndication.com, or a variation of the Google domain. Cadwallian will confirm this surely, and this ad does in fact not. And he provides me here with the code segment from deadlybossmods.com. So yes, we are going to retcon what we said at the start of the show, that DBM was just doing things innocently. They are in fact a bunch of freaking sellouts. Indeed they are. And it's difficult to express how angry that makes me. Right? How can you, as a mod developer, seriously give ad space to gold sellers? These are the same guys that repeatedly hacked the sites that you host your stuff on. WoW Interface. Remember how many times WoW Interface has been hacked? At least a few times by gold sellers trying to insert keylogging code. Curse, I imagine, is not. I don't remember Curse ever having been hacked before, but I'm also quite sure that people have uploaded mods to Curse before that look like mods but are actually keyloggers. These are the sites that host your add-on, and you have the testicular fortitude to put a gold selling ad on your site? Are you out of your freaking minds? Look, I understand that the economy sucks and that Blizzard's new add-on policy also sucks because it doesn't let you have donation links, blah, 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 blah. But that's not the point. The economy sucks. I don't just go and steal ham from the local butchers because, oh, well, I need some extra ham. That's not the point. It's like, yeah, WoW Radio took a hit as well on ad revenue. That's just the way it is. I understand, it sucks, but there are other ways to make money that do not involve advertising people who are actively working against the World of Warcraft community. How many of your users have been hacked by gold sellers? How many of your users are going to think, well, these guys are obviously just out for the cash? Let's face it. So you know what? I say this. I am opening up my hard drive. One of many. The O'Reilly drive, which is drive J. I go down to the file folder, World of Warcraft. I open up the following folder. Interface. Add-ons. Let's see. Deadly Boss Mods. Let's select all of that. DBM. There we go. And now we hit the delete key. And bye-bye Deadly Boss Mods. Consider yourself boycotted. I'm going to go get bigwigs. I'm going to stick with bigwigs, and I'm never going to use your terrible mod again. Yeah, I accept. You made a good mod. It's fantastic. But you know what? I don't care. Because you support people that want to hack my account and my site and everyone else's account and site that they can get their bloody hands on. So screw your mod, and to be honest, I would strongly urge those listening to this show who have even the slightest feeling about gold selling and indeed the hacking that goes on surrounding gold selling being wrong to uninstall that damn mod and stop supporting these developers and indeed any other developer that sells out in this manner. Get a spine. Grow one. In a special pot if you have to, a bonsai spine. But whatever the case, get one and realise that you are spitting in the face of your user base and indeed the entire WoW community. So Deadly Boss Mods, go bye-bye. Thank you very much. Bigwigs, folks. Bigwigs don't advertise that kind of thing. They actually support the WoW community as opposed to try and exploit it. Now that's all over. Let's get on with the content, shall we? Yes, we shall. Now, it's been a few weeks since Ulduar came out, and I've had the opportunity to sample everything up to Yogg-Saron so far. Didn't have a chance to go on the General Vezax kill, but apparently he's not that great anyway. But I've killed everything else. We're up to Yogg-Saron. I wasn't there on the night we killed Vezax. Hopefully will be on Sunday. We'll see. Now, I think it's about time that I sit down and have a look at the instance and try and evaluate it so far. You know, I haven't done many of the hard modes yet. I have done the Flame Leviathan stuff, you know, a couple of hard modes and that. But otherwise, no. I haven't been able to go on the 10-man runs to do the hard modes there. But I have spoken to a number of guilds, including Insidia, regarding hard modes. And of course, including Inner Sanctum, who will be on the show in the next couple of weeks. Yes, they will. They have a busy schedule, folks. But yes, they will be on the show. They have promised. So, I think it's about time we evaluate it and compare it to the previous instances. It was called a work of art by some people. It was considered to be a great instance. And indeed, I still consider it to be a great instance. But just how great is it? And what innovations does it bring in? Well, obviously, the first obvious innovation, of course, is the large number of hard modes that you can find within the dungeon. And the idea, of course, of these hard modes is to give a experience to both the really, really good players and the average Joe players. Good experience to both. Yeah? And you can get better loot if you do it hard. And that also supposedly gives the instance a bit more replayability. Now, instances inherently have replayability because you've got to keep replaying them for the loot. So varying it up is a good thing, right? Yes, it is. However, for what I've seen so far, only some of the hard modes seem to have gotten it right. Flame Leviathan is one. Flame Leviathan got hard modes right. You can disable a bunch of different features, you can have all different combinations. There are loads of different ways you could potentially do that fight. And you gradually work your way up. I mentioned this in a previous show, it's a non-binary hard mode. Those are the best kind. However, you've got other hard modes that are not so great. Like, say, Hodius hard mode. Hodius hard mode sucks. Hodius hard mode is like DPS harder. And that's it. You know, you've got to kill him within like 2 minutes, otherwise the Cache of Winter, the rare Cache of Winter melts. The one for XT002, also not very good hard mode. The one for Mimiron, also not a very good hard mode. All binary hard modes, like you either do it this way or the other. And the problem is that due to the excessive nerfing, and indeed there is nerfs coming for Mimiron as well. Bear in mind, this fight is fine, right? Mimiron is okay. We've killed him several times, and indeed so have many other people. You don't need to nerf Mimiron, he's fine. You know the worst thing is? They're nerfing stuff that only stupid people die to. Yeah? It's stuff like the rockets. Yeah, they've made the rockets have a longer flight time. Do you understand how easy it is to move out of a rocket? Seriously. That's the problem I've got with it. It's like, this is not what was making the encounter challenging to begin with. If you die to rockets, you're stupid. Lengthening the flight time of rockets doesn't fix the difficulty of the encounter. It just makes it more tolerant for idiots. It's the same as Heigen. You know, I bitched and moaned, quite frankly, about this. And to be honest, I think that's pretty fair. That they declawed Heigen. Heigen used to be, you stand in the goop, you die. Not anymore, you get to stand in 3, 4, maybe even 5 times before you die. It's the same now with Mimiron. Like, it's a difficult fight. Now what can we do to make it a little bit easier for those who are perhaps not quite so good at the game? Well, we can look at the core mechanics and perhaps alter them a little bit. No, actually, let's take the gimmicky mechanics that are really easy to avoid, and we'll nerf them instead. For no apparent reason. It's the same with the blinking light bombs and everything in XT002. I can understand, but not condone, nerfing the Tepanic Tantrum. Yeah? Because that's actually hard. But nerfing the light bombs? No! Why? For what possible reason? I can't figure it out. So yeah, it's a mixed bag, in my opinion, with the hard modes. Some are good, some are not. But, am I glad that they're there in the first place? Well, yes, and no. I'm glad that they're there because it does provide a different way of experiencing the encounters, even if it's only like one or the other. I'm not glad they're there because it's being used as an excuse to nerf the normal modes and then just buff the hard modes to ludicrous levels or whatever. And it creates this gap, this separation. But anyway, I think that's enough about the hard modes. So let's look at the actual fights themselves and the design of the instance. First, the trash. This is something that a lot of people have been complaining about in previous instances, and rightly so. I mean, why wouldn't they? Trash sucks. Nobody likes trash. It's horrible. So, is there enough of it, and is it actually challenging? Now, they did continue with what they've been doing, indeed, since Molten Core, which is to provide epic drops on trash, and that's a good reason. Admittedly, I must say that it means that some of our guildies are like, at the end of a raid, oh, let's just go clear the trash. And I'm like, why? It respawns. Like, because it might drop an epic. No! I'm not sticking on 25 minutes for Vezek's trash. I want to go to bed. Leave me alone. Horrible people. It won't drop anything good anyway. Seriously, I can count the number of times I've actually had a more than minimum DKP bid on a drop from trash on the fingers of one hand. They don't drop anything good. It's never been the case. It was the same as old Nax when they dropped that shield that slowed you down. That's the quality of loot you can expect. Don't do it. It's a trick. An illusion created by Thoron fields and geranium shadows. Now, is there enough trash? Well, can you ever really say that? I'd prefer less. There's, in my opinion, the trash amount is just right. I think they've nailed it. There might be a little bit too much in the way to Hodir, but they took a couple of things out of Freya's room, and I think Freya's about right now. You know, you've got to accept that Freya's going to be longer than most, because she's got the 3 Guardians. And killing those is optional. It's like Sartharian. Sartharian kind of annoys me because there's too much trash in that instance when you're going around and killing everything. And indeed, you've got to kill all the trash, because otherwise it'll come and mob you when you attempt to engage Sarth. But in a full-size instance, I can understand the trash being there. It's different to a one-shot boss, yeah? I don't see the point in having trash in Sartharian, for instance, because, well, you don't have trash in Malagos. So why have it there? It's another one-shot boss. There's plenty of one-shot bosses in the game that don't have at least that much trash. And for God's sake, Onyxia was like 3 pulls. Gruul was like 3 pulls. So was Magtheridon. You don't need all that much trash, in my honest opinion. Is the trash interesting? Yes. Mostly, at any rate. The trash on the way up to Flame Leviathan is, of course, yeah, it can get a little bit boring. But it is nice that you can switch between vehicles and roles. There's like, what, 5 different roles you can play? You can be on the bikes, you can be a driver for a demolisher, a cannoneer for a demolisher, or a driver for a siege, or a gunner for a siege. So there's like 5 different roles you can have, so it varies it up a little bit, and I'm kind of pleased with that. Blowing up towers and blowing up big colossus and setting oil on fire, I think they did a good job making that interesting, so I'll applaud them for that. The rest of the trash is also pretty solid. The Mimiron trash is hilarious. It is absolutely fantastic. I love the Mimiron trash. Now, what about the bosses? Difficulty-wise, let's compare it. Is it properly balanced? Well, I would have argued that yes, it used to be when they initially released it, in comparison to other instances like SSC, TK, Black Temple, Hyjal, stuff like that. I think that it was on the SSC TK level, and I think that was what they were supposed to be aiming for, but the nerfs that have come in after that, I think, have perhaps taken it slightly below that, and I think that's a little bit disappointing. Now, I can understand that they want to pull back a little bit from the difficulty level of TBC because it was supposedly all out of whack. It was way too overtuned at the start, and some things were, some things weren't. But I still find that a little bit disappointing as a raider who considers himself experienced, and I am. I've been raiding for quite a while, and someone who is not a complete idiot. I am finding certain fights now, like Ignis and Razor Scale, fights which have been nerfed a little bit too much to be rather boring now. The same with XT002. It's been nerfed too much. So, yeah, I think the difficulty on the early stuff is a bit dodgy, but the difficulty on the later stuff is good. It's solid. Iron Council, with all the optional hard modes, is great. Freya is good. Thorum is very well balanced. I actually really like that fight. It's very well put together. And there are some unique mechanics, like the gauntlet with the guy at the end who is sending fire either left or right down the corridor. When you've also got to have an arena team fighting over there, so you've got to split your party in 2. That's good. I like that. That's a lot of fun. Mimiron, great mechanics. The combining of all of these abilities together at the end. Awesome. And, of course, very, very funny, very amusing. Hodir, with the NPCs, a great encounter. A fight where positioning is key. Very much key. Big fan of that one, too. There's a lot of really great encounters in there. And I can't fault them on that. No, not at all. As regards to the actual boss fights, and let's face it, that's the important thing. Bang on. Absolutely stellar. And I did have a raid hiatus for the last couple of weeks because I was getting... It wasn't Ulduar I was getting bored of, it was raiding in general. I just needed a break, mainly due to the lack of time that I had. But now I'm back into it, and I'm loving it. I really am. I actually want to get in and do some 10-man hard modes because they themselves intrigue me. I find the idea of playing with perhaps with a smaller group of people and attempting to attain perfection and play 100% A game to be a very attractive concept. So I'm glad that there's those options there now. I admit I was skeptical regarding 10 and 25s, but I think Ulduar has nailed it. So very happy about that, and I'm certainly hoping to have a lot more fun in there before the next piece of content. I'll be talking a bit about the Colosseum on next week's show, because we're not going to have time this time around. We've got a little bit of information, so hopefully there'll be a little bit more by next week. My name is Tall Biscuit, and listen to Blue Please here on WoW Radio. We've got time for the Illusion of Choice, which will be coming up after this break. Enjoy.